Well, now we're joined by a legal practitioner friend here who's going to also talk to us about, that's Lady Thompson. Thank you for coming on. Johnson, I beg your pardon. Well, we're switching now to INEC. Now, this is one other matter that's also out there, wherein the acting chairman of INEC, chairperson of INEC now, there's this commentary making the rounds now that tomorrow will be officially, they say, in fact, legally speaking, now that's why we have lawyers to talk about this, will be her last day in office, and that anything she does beyond tomorrow, according to law, as they argue, will be null and void. I'm sure you must have also heard this narrative. What's your impression of it?
Well, it's a funny situation. It's a difficult one because if you look at the Constitution, she has a 5-year term, which, rightly said, ends tomorrow. There again, we have I believe, the head of service that wrote to her and said that you're there to act. I think it's, is it 6 months in the first instance? And we have to consider the issues and see if it is proper that she should act after her term expires, and whether or not, or where the president gets his powers to appoint someone on a temporary basis to head any commission or parastatal or what have you, not just INEC here.
But they're particular about INEC. They say, in fact, they cited section 160 of the Constitution, and they say, let me go there. 161, subject to subsection 2 of this section, any of the bodies may, with the approval of the President, by rules or otherwise, regulate its own procedure or confer powers and impose duties on any officer or authority for that purpose of discharging its functions. And then this is the part where the amendment kicks in. Provided that in the case of the Independent National Electoral Commission, its powers to make its own rules or otherwise regulate its own procedure shall not be subject to the approval or control of the President.
Yes. Different. So there you have the problem, because in appointing the chairman of INEC, one, he needs the Constitution says he needs to consult the Council of State, and then, of course, the approval of Senate. So these are the two steps there. And that's why I say, under what he can do that, you understand, but under what are you asking someone to act pending the person going to Senate for approval, as it were? So that, I'm sure the legal team of Mr. President, unfortunately we don't know the people involved at the moment, would have looked at that.
So based on this, does that mean that those who are saying that after tomorrow, whatever she does,
they have a point. They do have a point, you understand. I would say, look, there shouldn't be a vacuum in the commission, as it were, but I read an interesting article which raised the issue and asked that if INEC, in this, assuming it lasts 6 months, if they get into agreements and do all sorts of things, would these things be legal? You understand? But as I said, I hope that the head of service has what he's coming under, you understand, in carrying out the President's directive, to ask her to continue to act for such a period, you understand. It would have been easy or easier if her tenure, her 5-year tenure, would still be, the 6 months would lapse during the 5-year tenure or what have you.
Okay, so if she had a longer term,
yes, it would have been easier. But now it raises legal issues.
There's this report out there that the letter that was conveying the appointment to her stated that her tenure as a commissioner in the Independent National Electoral Commission ends with the acceptance of that appointment. How does that work vis-a-vis the Constitution?
Well, another way to look at it is that does Mr. President have the authority to take, let's say, a public servant or civil servant from anywhere and say, please go and act in this capacity at this parastatal, or in this case at INEC, pending or for so time. You understand? I'm being careful here because I do not know the public service, the relevant public service rules or what have you. But I know that within the constitutional framework, as it were, there's a slight problem. It's a difficult one.
What exactly is the issue? Because some people will say there's a practice, at least within military service,
yes,
where even if a soldier were due for retirement and he was appointed a service chief, he could serve for as long as the president deems fit, even though he was due for retirement many, many years before then. So do you think that that principle could also apply in this instance?
Is that the same principle with public service appointments?
I'm just asking, as you're the person answering the question here, do you think that that principle could also apply in the sense that, yes, her tenure as a national commissioner at the commission might be coming to an end, but since she's acting as INEC chair, who could be anybody, and from anywhere, the person could actually act for as long as the president deems fit?
Well, I personally, I don't have a problem with it. Because, as I said, we cannot have a vacuum. We know that Mr. President has to take a decision. He has to consult the Council of State. He has to send the name to the Senate. Now, within that period, someone must be acting.
But there was someone acting. Jega handed over to somebody until the president was to appoint.
It's the well, exactly. It's the president's prerogative to appoint.
So the question that's out there by some people is that why didn't the president just go ahead, since Jega handed over to someone whose tenure was to expire in August? Why didn't the president just go ahead, consult the Council of State, then send the name to the Senate for approval?
Travel to America. No, it's a matter of time.
Because between that appointment and, I mean, it's been over 2 weeks.
Yes.
That's some time enough to have consulted the Council of State. And there was a meeting of the Council of State around that period. So there was enough time to have consulted the Council of State and then still reached out to the people.
It probably just jumped up on them or jumped up at them. It probably did. When you have a new administration in place, you're doing a lot of things. I'm not saying anyone there is incompetent or anything. I'm saying that a lot of things are coming up so quickly that you're just trying to put your hand on and everything. So it's bound to happen. Let us be reasonable.